More and more often, especially since the pandemic, auditions for artist training programs, university and conservatory degree programs, and even professional orchestras, they are being pre-screened with a video round. Although the quality of your musical performance absolutely should be your primary concern when making an audition video, how you capture that performance affects how the jury will receive it. No one wants to lose an opportunity because someone else of equal talent made a better video than you did. So now in this video, I go on location to give you some tips on how to make the best possible audition video with the tools that you should have access to if you're interested in pursuing a career in classical music performance. So, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It's Morphin time. Brontosaurus! So here we are in the Kleiner Saal of the Musikakademie Basel. This is a room where thousands of recordings have been made. I'm sure you've watched something in this room that was recorded in this room before. And of course, you don't need to be in a concert room or a concert hall to make an audition video. You can, of course, do one in a practice room or at your own house. And there'll be some things to speak about recording in another venue, but in a place like this, one of the real benefits is that we can use very nice lighting because the stage has specific lighting, and we can, like it has acoustic properties which are beneficial to us. But it is very important that we make sure that whatever we're doing when we're recording, that number one, we're recording in landscape mode. We're not using your cell phone like sitting up long ways, not like an Instagram reel or that sort of thing. We're recording in landscape mode. That's super important because most people who are the jury type, they're going to be watching on their computer screen. They're not going to be watching like on their phone necessarily. We're also going to want to make sure that if there are specific requirements to this audition, that we follow those requirements. So for example, there was a recent audition at the Tonhalle Orchestra in Zurich that in the shot, in the frame, there was a timer or a stopwatch or a clock, which was clearly visible at all times during that recording, just to make sure that no edits were made later. So there may be some things like that which you need to pay attention to. Maybe they'll say, the quality of the video has to be HD or 1080p HD or higher or something like that. That's going to be important. We're also going to want to make sure that we look nice. It's not good to show up live to an audition in jeans and a hoodie that says, eat, sleep, bassoon, repeat. But you want to make the same kind of impression on the video as you would in real life. And I think it is important to say that, all I'm talking about are the basics here. And if you can do the absolute basics in terms of the lighting, the frame, the quality is good, that the people can see you clearly, then it says to the jury that you're taking this audition seriously. And so that's all we really want to demonstrate here. Not only we want to perform well at our best, we want to meet our potential. And the benefits to a recording is that we get an unlimited amount of time to do that. But it is important to show that when we make up the frame of the video and we dress well, we're showing the jury that we're taking this application seriously. The next thing, I think the most important and most beneficial thing to you when doing an audition video is that you have someone else there who's sort of spotting you, who understands what you're looking for in terms of the visual and the audio element, that they're listening to the live recording, the audio, and looking at the video just to make sure that nothing is going wrong at the time, even though everything may be fixed and set up correctly. But you want to make sure that you're, like your job as the musician is simply that. You're only doing the music part, and that you put the responsibility of the video and the audio on someone else so that you can focus on your job, which is to win the audition, whatever that is. So let's look at some of the things in particular in terms of setting up the technical element to this recording. There's Annelise Ellars. Annelise, thank you for doing this with me today. The first thing that we need to know is, do we have any technical requirements to your audition video?
Yes, they usually ask for good audio and visual quality and a continuous shot. So no cuts.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Okay, so the absolute most important thing when recording an audition tape is the sound quality. And what we have on stage is a Zoom H6, but really you can't go wrong with any sort of Zoom recording device that begins with an H. But I would recommend certainly the H4n, the H6, the H8, but the H4n is going to go like your entire career. It had the capsule, the XY capsule that comes with the recorder. It has the quality which goes beyond whatever we might need on an individual basis, whether we want to make a music podcast, whether we want to perform, make an audition, make a recording even. I've used it to record instruments in some of my own videos, which are on the channel. That's really important, but also the H4 gives you the possibility of plugging in and powering to other microphones, so like a stereo pair or something. So it's a little bit more flexible than I think the H1, which is just sort of fits in your hand sort of thing, but it doesn't do anything more than the XY microphone. And then with every step up from the H4, you just get more ports for you to attach more microphones. So that's up to you whether you want to have that flexibility in the future. So we're using only the only the H6, but it's the same recording quality. And we want the best possible recording quality that's available within the recorder. So I think that's 24-bit, 96 kilohertz. Positioning is really key here. So what we're going to do is you're going to see me set it up for Annelise in this room. This room, when it's empty, is quite boomy, so we don't want the microphone to be really far away. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples now what it would sound like if the microphone was set really far away. So as you can tell, putting the mic closer in this particular room is going to make the best quality. You want to show your public, who are obviously is a jury of some kind, you want to make it clear at every possible stage of this that it's really you doing this performance as if they were in that room. So you want to be able to clearly demonstrate that, like if there are defects in your performance or whatever, that you're not using the distance of the microphone to hide some of that. You want to make the best possible quality, and in a very boomy room, that means putting the microphone much closer to you, but it should never be closer than 1 meter away from you, whatever room you're in, even if you're in quite a dry space. I mean, these are just very broad rules here, but in this particular case, we're about 2.5 meters away from Annelise, and the mic is a bit higher than her and aiming a little bit above where her mouth is. And so that would be the case also for instruments as well. You want the sound is going to project a bit upwards, and you want the microphone to be aiming at the place where the sound is going. So also what you could do if you don't have tripods or mic stands, as you can see that I did for Annelise there, where I put the H6, I mean, in a very sort of budget, quick fix way, you could just easily put a music stand down and then place the H6 bang on it facing the direction of travel. And, or you could put your camera on the music stand. So we're talking about framing. You can see I have two cameras here. I have an iPhone and I have a Sony ZV-E10. This is like your basic, the cheapest sort of like vlogging camera with an interchangeable lens, and that might be important for later. Framing. What is a good frame? You want, whether it's an instrument or a vocalist, you want to be close enough that most of their body takes up most of the frame. So, for example, a frame like this one is not very good. Of course, you've got the face like right in the center of the image, but it looks kind of silly. It doesn't make complete sense to do something like that. I have a flexible, I can zoom in with the lens that I've got on my ZV-10. There's less headroom. So we want the head, to be only, there to be a little bit of space for the head to move up at the top. But we see very clearly in this shot, whatever Annelise is doing, it really is her. Whatever we hear is actually what we see, and it's not unpleasant to look at. Now, we could get more artsy, as you can set up on your camera to have what's called the rule of thirds grid. And what you could do is you could, if you wanted to, put her along the grid, so that her body is following the line, one of the thirds. But then you also need to think about the image that's going on behind her. Obviously, you can see there's only a sort of a wood panel behind her. If you wanted to spend more time making the image look more pleasant, then moving around the room maybe would have to be done so that you have a nice background, not just the foreground. But of course, what really matters is what they're going to see you do, and not how it, that you're in the most idyllic location or having set up the room in the most perfect way. I could come here from the side and do something like this. I mean, it's not, it's a bit strange because you would be looking forward or something, but it's possible, and especially if you're an instrumentalist, maybe it could be a bit more useful if you're looking at a music stand rather than singing by heart. Then it wouldn't be so problematic to the viewer. Annelise has also been kind enough to bring her harp. Absolutely, we need to be able to see that you're actually playing the instruments. So in this particular case, it's really quite hard for me to tell from watching the video if you're actually playing the notes that you were. I mean, it's plausible, but it's less believable. That is more clear, and maybe because if you're sitting down and you're, if you're playing a woodwind audition, for example, and you're more stuck in your place, then the camera placement has to be such that we can clearly see your hands as they're working. And in some cases, they may say in the audition application requirements that if they need to clearly see what you're doing. As this is a concert room, we can do a lot with the space because we can manipulate the lighting or whatever. There'll be another segment about what happens, maybe if you're shooting from home. But what we're going to do here is we're going to look at what we can do to change the lighting. In terms of the lighting, we've got the whole, there's a bunch of lights above us that are just shining straight down, and we have the options of having spotlights. If it's possible, it's nice to have more light on one side of the subject than two equal amounts of light, or light coming straight down. Because if light comes straight down, often you can get shadows under the eyes and it doesn't quite look very nice. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to manipulate it a little bit so that we turn the lights off from above and we turn on the spotlights on the sides, but not have any spotlights coming from the front. Just because that's something that I like a little bit more. But you could, of course, use, the spotlights. If anything that's shot on a stage, which is like a theater stage or like a concert hall stage, usually the lighting is very nice when it's in the sort of concert setting. So if you are shooting in a room like this, don't use the general lights. Use a used like the concert lighting. So as you can see what I just did, there's already a huge difference. I think it looks much more pleasant to the eyes. The color changed a little bit, but if you're working with, like your iPhone or your kind of vlogging camera on auto, it will immediately make an adjustment there. What I have here are two different ways that you can very easily record. We've got the iPhone camera here, and we also have the ZV-E10 here. And in either case, putting these things on auto is going to work in this controlled setting. All I would do is make sure that, like you tap Annelise so that the camera will try and make the exposure of Annelise the priority. And we have on here, I've put everything on auto. Got our face tracking on her. We've got the ISO on auto. So everything is being done automatically by the camera. Also, the white balance is on auto. In this case, I'm not using your standard kit lens. I'm using something which is very flexible. It's a 18-105. This lens is super flexible for you as a performer. So after you've made your recording, and as you have noticed, I used two different devices. I used a camera and I used an audio recorder to record the audition. And it is, of course, the next step in the process to making sure, everything looks and sounds as best as it possibly can, is to combine to make one video with the audio quality of the audio recorder. And I know, like, we all have, there are many different free applications out there, video editing software wise, but the absolute best free software out there is DaVinci Resolve. In this right now, it's DaVinci Resolve 18, but DaVinci Resolve, it's one of the three main professional video editing tools out there. There's a free version, and the free version, for what we do as musicians, it supplies everything that we could possibly need, and it doesn't do a watermark or anything like that. So you get, for example, I did the most of my YouTube videos on the free version of this program. You could pay the $300 or so to buy the actual, the studio version, what they call it. But for the purposes of an audition video, it would make no difference whatsoever. I would highly suggest that you get acquainted with this program because, the future of us as classical musicians will definitely includes video, and however we think about it. And so just being acquainted with this program is going to help us in the future as sort of part of our toolkit. Okay, so here we are. I've just opened up, I made a new project, and I'm at the Media tab. So this is the bottom left-hand corner tab. And through the system, I've looked through, I found the files that I want. And so I've put the two video files, change project frame rate. Yes, I want to do that. And I've also got my audio file here. What I'm going to do, just to give you an idea of how simple this can be to sync the audio and the video, I've gone into the edit page here, so which is the second tab towards the right, and I'm going to take my main video, which of course has an audio track below it on the green track. And I'm also just going to put below it the audio file. So you can see here that, in general, the files are not synced up. The audio is not synced up, but they look relatively similar. It's very simple now in order to make the sync. All we have to do is click and drag so that we highlight all of these things. I right-click, and then I highlight auto align clips based on a waveform. And boom, now suddenly I have the track of the audio recorder, which is here down below, and that is now synced up with the camera's audio. And there are a number of different ways that we can what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to trim the clip a little bit. And, you know, basically this is done. I can do two things here. I can either mute the track of track 1, which is the camera audio, or I can simply hold the shift key, highlight the bottom track, and move it up. And now I've sort of deleted the, by holding the shift key, the track doesn't move from the left to the right, and that file will just overwrite on top of the camera audio. And so then I have this file is done. Maybe we need to trim the clips a little bit. Actually, let's just move everything to the left. That's fine. And then when I go to the final tab here, which is the Deliver tab, go to the Deliver, you can see everything is highlighted. And then, you know, you name the file, you keep everything basically the way it is. You say Add to Render Queue. So I'll just call it Audition 1, save, and then we have the thing is in the queue, and we just say Render All. So as you can see, it was very simple to sync the audio just by waveform. Just to reiterate that it is very important that mic positioning and audio quality is much more important than, of course, the video quality, but we want to make sure that we have not simply just a microphone on the top of the camera, which is too far away, let's say. Knowing how to sync the audio into the file and then re-rendering it is simply going to create the best possible audition video. So I hope that you found this video helpful. Please let me know in the comments if you would like to see more on this topic, so make a suggestion if you have one. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please consider becoming a patron via Patreon, or if you're a bassoonist like me, why not buy a read from bassoons.ch. Oh, and just for those of you sticking around to the end, here is the final audition video I shot for Annelise that evening. Take it easy.